Captain Choi Hyerin watched through the bridge windows as Concordia Station grew larger. The massive structure looked like a metal flower floating in space. Its arms stretched out in all directions, each one bigger than most human cities. "Captain," her communications officer said, "we're getting a message from the station." "Put it through," Choi said. A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel Soul's Pride. You will follow the marked path to docking bay 774. Do not deviate. Any wrong move will be seen as an attack." Choi pressed the communication button. "Understood, Concordia Station. Following the path now." She looked around her bridge. Her crew worked quietly at their stations. They all knew what was really happening here. This wasn't just a peace meeting. This was the beginning of the end. "Look at that," her pilot said, pointing out the window. Choi looked where he was pointing. Ships filled the space around Concordia Station. Hundreds of them. Big warships from 14 different alien races. Their weapons were pointed at the 3 small human ships. "They want us to feel scared," Choi said quietly. "Let them think it's working." Inside the Soul's Pride, Ambassador Lee Tae-ho sat in his small room. He was reading through files on his tablet. Each file contained information about one of the alien races he would meet today. Kim Do-won had prepared them all. The Vorthans thought they were the smartest beings in the galaxy. The Kalari believed they were the strongest fighters. The Nexus claimed they were the best at building things. Every race thought they were better than all the others. But they all agreed on one thing: humans were the weakest. A soft knock came at his door. "Come in," Lee said. Kim Do-won walked in, carrying his own tablet. His glasses sat crooked on his nose and his hair looked messy. He had been working all night. "I've been watching their communications," Kim said. "They're not even trying to hide what they're saying about us." "What are they saying?" Lee asked. Kim sat down on the small chair. "The Vorthon High Chancellor told his staff that humans are like children who need to be taught their place. A Kalari general said we're too weak to be real soldiers. A Nexus engineer said our ships look like they were built by amateurs." Lee felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Good, let them think that." "There's more," Kim said. "They've already decided how to divide up human space between them. Earth goes to the Vorthans. The Mars colonies go to the Kalari. The asteroid mining stations go to the Nexus. They're counting their chickens before they hatch," Lee said. It was an old Earth saying his grandmother used to use. Kim smiled. "They don't even know what chickens are." The ship shook slightly as it docked with the station. Over the communication system, Captain Choi's voice announced, "We have arrived at Concordia Station. All diplomatic personnel prepare for departure." Lee stood up and put on his formal ambassador jacket. It was dark blue with gold trim. On his chest he wore the symbol of Earth, a small blue planet with white clouds. "How do I look?" he asked Kim. "Like someone who's about to surrender," Kim said. "Perfect." They walked to the airlock where the rest of the diplomatic team waited. There were 12 humans total. All of them looked serious and worried. They had practiced these expressions for weeks. The airlock opened. On the other side stood 6 alien guards. They were tall and covered in gray armor. Their faces were hidden behind helmets, but their weapons were visible. "Humans," one guard said in a mechanical voice. "You will follow us. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not touch anything. Do not look at anything too long." Lee stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Lee Tae-ho of Earth. We are here as invited guests of the Galactic Council." The guard tilted his head. "You are here because we allow it. Nothing more." They walked through long corridors filled with aliens. Some stopped to stare at the humans. Lee heard comments in different alien languages. Kim whispered translations in his ear. "Ugly little things. So small and weak. Looking. Hard to believe they lasted. 3 years against us. Won't last much longer." They passed through 3 security checkpoints. At each one, the humans had to stand still while machines scanned them. The aliens checking the machines talked to each other like the humans weren't even there. Finally, they reached their quarters. The rooms were small and plain. Gray walls, gray ceiling, gray floor. The beds were hard metal slabs. The windows were tiny and barred. "These look like prison cells," one of the human diplomats said quietly. "Because that's what they are," Kim whispered back. A different alien guard appeared. This one was shorter and had green skin. "You will remain here until called for the ceremony. Food will be brought. Do not leave these rooms without permission." After the alien left, Lee gathered his team in his room. He checked for listening devices with a small scanner Kim had given him. The scanner stayed quiet. "Remember," Lee said, "we are defeated people asking for mercy. We are grateful for any terms they offer us. We are scared of making them angry." "Even when they tell us to give up Earth?" asked one diplomat. "Especially then," Lee said. "The more unreasonable their demands, the more desperate we need to look." Kim checked his own scanner. It was picking up signals from all over the station. Their communications are completely open. They're not worried about us listening in. They think we don't have the technology to understand their codes. Lee smiled. "Do we?" "We broke their codes 18 months ago," Kim said. "We've been listening to everything." That's how Admiral Park knew exactly where to position our ships. Hours passed. The humans stayed in their small rooms and waited. Food came, gray paste that tasted like nothing. Water came, warm and metallic. Everything was designed to make them feel like prisoners. As the station's artificial night cycle began, Kim came to Lee's room again. This time, his tablet showed a map of the station. "I've been mapping their security," he said. "Recording guard positions, weapon placements, shield generators. Everything Admiral Park asked for." "Any surprises?" Lee asked. "Just one. They have more ships than we expected. Over 600 warships from all 14 races. It's the largest fleet ever assembled." Lee felt a moment of worry. "Will that be a problem?" Kim's smile was cold. "Admiral Park says the bigger the fleet, the bigger the explosion when it all falls apart." Outside their small windows, the alien ships continued to patrol. Their crews probably thought they were guarding against human reinforcements. They had no idea they were gathering in exactly the place humanity wanted them. "How long until the ceremony?" Lee asked. Kim checked the time. 6 hours. The council wants to do this at what they call the victory hour, when their sun rises over their homeworld. "Appropriate," Lee said. The sun will be rising on their homeworld when their empire starts to fall. They spent the remaining hours going over their roles one more time. Every word they would say had been planned. Every expression on their faces had been practiced. When the aliens offered their surrender terms, the humans would look beaten and hopeful at the same time. When the aliens demanded Earth's surrender, the humans would look heartbroken but accepting. When the aliens explained how they would rule over humanity, the humans would look grateful for their mercy, right up until the moment Lee Tae-ho said the two words that would change everything. "Almost time," Kim said as alien guards appeared at their doors. Lee straightened his jacket and checked his appearance one last time. In a few hours he would be sitting across from the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They would offer him terms that would make humanity into slaves, and he would give them an answer they would never forget. The door opened. It was time to go and pretend to lose a war they had already won. The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest room Lee Tae-ho had ever seen. The ceiling stretched up so high it disappeared in shadow. Around the walls, banners hung showing the symbols of 14 alien races. At the center sat a massive round table made of black stone. Lee walked with his diplomatic team toward their assigned seats. Every step echoed in the huge space. Around the table, alien representatives watched them approach. Some looked amused. Others looked bored. All of them looked like predators watching prey walk into a trap. High Chancellor Krexthul sat at the head of the table. His forearms rested on the stone surface. His blue skin seemed to glow under the bright lights. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire hall. "Beings of the Galactic Council," he announced. "Today we gather to show mercy to a defeated species. Today we offer the humans a chance to survive their foolish war against superior civilizations." The other aliens nodded and made sounds of agreement. Lee heard several different languages mixing together, but the meaning was clear. They were celebrating their victory over humanity. "Ambassador Lee Tae-ho of Earth," Krexthul said, "step forward and receive the terms that will save your people." Lee stood up slowly. He made sure to look nervous and uncertain. Inside his jacket pocket, a small device that Kim Do-won had given him was recording everything. Every word, every sound, every detail would be sent back to Admiral Park So-jin. "Your Excellency," Lee said, his voice carefully shaking, "I am honored to be here. The people of Earth are grateful for this opportunity." Several aliens laughed. One of them, a creature covered in green scales, spoke in a hissing voice. "Grateful? You should be on your knees thanking us for not destroying your homeworld completely." Lee bowed his head. "You are right, of course. We hope for your mercy, Krexthol raised one of his four hands. A holographic document appeared in the air above the table. It was written in both alien script and human English. The title read, Terms of Unconditional Surrender, Human Species. These are our final terms, Krexthol said. There will be no negotiation. You will accept them completely, or your species will be eliminated completely. Lee stared at the floating document. Even though he had expected this, reading the actual words made him feel sick. First, Krexthol read aloud, all human military forces will surrender immediately. All weapons will be destroyed. All warships will be given to the Council. The alien delegation nodded approvingly. Lee made sure his face showed despair. Second, all human colonies outside the Sol system will be abandoned. The populations will be relocated to designated areas under Council supervision. Lee's hands shook as he reached for his water glass. It wasn't hard to fake the trembling, the terms were truly horrible. Third, Earth itself will become a protectorate under Vorthan administration. All major decisions affecting human society will require Vorthan approval. More alien voices joined in approval. Some were making jokes in their own languages. Kim Do-won, sitting behind Lee, quietly translated the worst ones. They're saying humans make good servants. One just said we're too stupid to govern ourselves. Another one asked if we can be trained to do manual labor. Lee felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his expression defeated and hopeful. Fourth, Krexthol continued, all human technology will be shared with the Council. Your computer systems, your weapons designs, your shipbuilding methods, everything belongs to us now. Fifth, human population will be limited. No more than 1 billion humans will be allowed to exist at any time. The rest will be relocated to other worlds where they can serve useful purposes. That last term made several of Lee's diplomats gasp. It wasn't acting. The number was worse than they had feared. The aliens wanted to scatter humanity across the galaxy like servants and slaves. Sixth and finally, Krexthol said with satisfaction, humanity will provide annual tribute to the Council. Resources, manufactured goods, and technology will be delivered to us every year as payment for allowing your species to continue existing. The holographic document finished displaying. The terms hung in the air like a death sentence. Around the table, alien representatives looked very pleased with themselves. These terms are generous, said a creature that looked like a walking tree with too many eyes. My people voted to simply eliminate all humans. High Chancellor Krexthol convinced us to show mercy instead. Indeed, agreed another alien that resembled a giant spider. Most species that fight the Council are completely destroyed. You should feel honored to be offered survival. Lee stood up slowly. His legs felt weak, but not from acting this time. Seeing the terms written out made the stakes very clear. If this plan failed, humanity would become slaves forever. Your Excellency, Lee said, may I have a moment to consult with my team? Krexthol waved a hand dismissively. Take all the time you need, human. The outcome will be the same. Lee walked back to where his diplomats sat. They huddled together like scared animals. But their whispered conversation was not what the aliens expected. Kim, status report, Lee whispered. Kim Do-won checked a small device hidden in his sleeve. All intelligence gathering complete. I have detailed scans of their command structure, communication systems, and security networks. Admiral Park has everything she needs, and Captain Choi. Lee whispered to another team member who was secretly in contact with their ship. Seoul's Pride is ready for immediate departure. All human vessels are prepared for emergency evacuation. And the operation? Lee asked. Kim smiled grimly. Admiral Park confirms all stealth ships are in position. 643 targets locked and ready. Operation Exodus can begin on your signal. Lee took a deep breath. Around the table, aliens waited for him to return and sign humanity's surrender. They looked confident and amused. Some were already discussing how to divide up human territories. Signal Admiral Park, Lee whispered. Tell her the trap is set. Spring it when I give the word. Kim's fingers moved quickly over his hidden device. Message sent. Lee straightened his jacket and walked back to the table. The alien representatives watched him approach. Their expressions showed they expected complete surrender. Have you finished discussing your hopeless situation? Asked the spider-like alien. Yes, Lee said. We have reached our decision. He stood directly in front of High Chancellor Krexthol. The massive alien leaned forward, expecting to hear words of submission and gratitude. Instead, Lee's voice became steady and strong. After careful consideration of your terms, he said clearly, I must respectfully decline. The Grand Assembly Hall fell completely silent. Several aliens looked confused, as if they hadn't heard correctly. Krexthul's 4 eyes narrowed. "What did you say, human?" Lee's voice carried across the huge room. I said no. "Humanity rejects your surrender terms." Chaos erupted around the table. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some stood up and pointed at Lee. Others activated communication devices to call their fleets. Krexthul's voice rose above all the others. "You foolish creature. You have just sentenced your entire species to extinction. I will order every human world burned to ash." Lee smiled. It was not the expression of a defeated ambassador. It was the smile of someone who held all the cards. "Your Excellency," Lee said calmly, "you might want to check your sensors before you make any threats." Krexthul paused. His expression changed from anger to confusion. Around the table, other aliens were receiving urgent messages on their communication devices. Their confident expressions began to change to worry, then fear. "What?" Krexthul started to say. Alarms began sounding throughout Concordia Station. Emergency lights flashed. The voice of the station commander echoed through the Grand Assembly Hall. "All council representatives to emergency stations. We are receiving distress signals from multiple worlds. Repeat, we have multiple emergency situations across council space." Kim Do-wan leaned forward and whispered in Lee's ear. "Admiral Park sends her regards. Operation Exodus is proceeding perfectly." Lee looked directly into Krexthul's 4 eyes. "High Chancellor," he said, "I believe it's time for us to discuss new terms. Terms where humanity is the one offering mercy." The most powerful beings in the galaxy stared at him in shock and growing fear. Outside Concordia Station, their mighty fleets were about to learn what happened when someone tried to make humanity surrender. The emergency alarms got louder. Red lights flashed throughout the Grand Assembly Hall. Around the massive table, alien representatives pressed buttons on their communication devices with desperate fingers. Their confident expressions had turned to panic and confusion. High Chancellor Krexthul stood up so fast that his chair fell backward. His 4 arms moved wildly as he tried to contact his fleet commanders. "What is happening? Report." "Give me a status report immediately." Lee Taeho remained calm in the center of the chaos. He checked his watch. A simple human timepiece that looked innocent but was connected to Kim Do-wan's intelligence network. The display showed green lights spreading across a map of council space. "Ambassador," Kim whispered. "Admiral Park reports complete success in the first wave. All primary targets have been neutralized." Around them, aliens shouted in their various languages. The spider-like representative was clicking its claws together rapidly, a sign of extreme stress. The tree creature's many eyes were blinking in patterns that Kim recognized as panic signals. "My homeworld is under attack," screamed the Kalari general. A massive creature covered in red armor. "Impossible. Our orbital defenses were impenetrable. The Nexus construction yards are gone," shouted another alien. "Completely destroyed. How did ships get past our sensor networks?" Krexthul finally got through to one of his fleet commanders. The alien's voice crackled through the communication system, filled with fear and confusion. "High Chancellor, the humans, they appeared everywhere at once. Ships we've never seen before. Our bases are burning. Our supply depots are destroyed. How many ships do they have?" Lee stepped forward. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "The answer to that question, High Chancellor, is more than you thought possible." Every alien in the room turned to stare at him. Lee looked completely different now. Gone was the nervous, defeated ambassador who had walked in here hours ago. Now he stood straight and confident like a military officer giving orders. "You see," Lee continued, "while you were planning how to divide up human space, we were planning how to win this war. While you were celebrating your victory, we were positioning our real fleet." Kim Do-wan stood up beside him. His nervous, scholarly appearance had changed too. Now he looked like what he really was. A master spy who had been gathering intelligence for years. "For 18 months, Kim announced, "our stealth ships have been moving into position around every major council military installation. You never saw them because you never thought to look for technology better than your own." The Vorthan High Chancellor's blue skin had turned pale. "Impossible. Humans don't have stealth technology. Your ships are primitive." "The ships you've been fighting are primitive," Lee said. "We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see. Old ships, weak weapons, desperate tactics. We let you win battles so you would think we were losing the war. Captain Choi Hyeran's voice came through Lee's communication device. Ambassador, this is Seoul's Pride. We're receiving orders to begin evacuation procedures. The station's defenses are powering up, but they won't target us while you're still inside. Lee pressed the device. Understood, Captain. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel. We'll be there shortly. He looked around the table at the alien representatives. Most of them were still trying to contact their fleets and getting reports of disasters across Council space. You want to know how many ships we really have? Lee asked. The answer is simple. Enough. Admiral Park So-jin's voice suddenly filled the Grand Assembly Hall. She had broken into the station's communication system. Greetings, Council representatives. This is Admiral Park So-jin of the Human Defense Fleet. I wanted to personally explain what's happening to your military forces. Her voice was calm and professional, like she was giving a lecture. At this moment, 643 of your major installations are under attack by human stealth vessels. These include your primary naval bases, supply depots, communication centers, and strategic weapons platforms. The spider-like alien clicked frantically. How many ships? How many ships are you using? Park's voice carried a smile. Fewer than you have here at Concordia Station. The difference is our ships know how to fight efficiently. More reports came in from across Council space. Each one was worse than the last. The 4th and 2nd Fleet has been scattered. Kalari supply lines are completely cut. Nexus shipyards are burning. Communications with the outer worlds have been lost. Lee walked slowly around the table, looking at each alien representative. They all watched him with growing fear. 3 years ago, he said, you thought humanity would be easy to defeat. You saw our small ships and old weapons and decided we were weak. You were wrong. He stopped in front of Krexthul. You attacked our colonies thinking we would surrender quickly. Instead, we used that time to study you, to learn how you think, to discover your weaknesses. Kim Do-won pulled out his tablet and projected a hologram above the table. It showed the galaxy with thousands of red dots moving across it. Every red dot is a human ship, Kim explained. Ships you didn't know existed. Ships that have been hiding in your own space for months, waiting for this moment. While you were gathering your fleets here to celebrate victory, Lee continued, you were actually gathering them exactly where we wanted them. Far away from your homeworlds, far away from your defenses. The alarms got even louder. Through the hall's massive windows, they could see explosions in the distance. Some of the council ships around Concordia Station were trying to leave, but they were moving in panic, not organized retreat. Admiral Park's voice returned. Council representatives, I'm now prepared to discuss terms for your surrender. Krexthul's 4 eyes blazed with rage. Surrender? The Galactic Council does not surrender to primitives. High Chancellor, Park's voice remained calm. I suggest you reconsider. At this moment, your combined military strength has been reduced by 60%. Your supply lines are broken. Your communication networks are compromised. Your member worlds are defenseless. She paused to let that sink in. However, I am prepared to accept your surrender with honor. Human ships will stop their attacks immediately if you agree to our terms. What terms? Asked the tree creature in a shaking voice. Lee smiled. The same terms you just offered us. Complete military surrender, withdrawal from all occupied territories, annual tribute payments. The difference is our terms are actually reasonable. He began walking toward the exit. His diplomatic team followed him. You can't leave, Krexthul shouted. We're not finished here. Lee stopped and turned around. Yes, we are. You invited us here to surrender. Instead, we came to accept yours. Captain Choi's voice crackled through his communicator. Ambassador, Seoul's Pride is ready for immediate departure. But sir, the Council fleet is moving to surround us. Lee pressed his communication device. Captain, patch me through to Admiral Park. A moment later, Park's voice came through clearly. Yes, Ambassador. Admiral, it appears the Council fleet wants to prevent our departure. Please discourage them. With pleasure. Through the great windows of the assembly hall, new lights appeared in space. Massive human warships were decloaking around Concordia Station. Ships twice the size of the largest council vessels. Ships that looked like they could destroy planets. The alien representatives rushed to the windows. What they saw made several of them fall to their knees. Impossible, whispered Krexthul. Where did those ships come from? Admiral Park's voice filled the hall one more time. Those ships, High Chancellor, represent the real human defense fleet. The fleet you've been fighting was just our advanced scouts. Lee and his team reached the exit doors. Before leaving, he turned back to address the council one final time. You have 72 hours to consider our terms. After that, we'll assume you prefer the military option. The doors closed behind the humans, leaving the alien representatives alone with their fear and the growing realization that they had never been fighting humanity's real army. They had been fighting humanity's distraction while the real war was won in a single, coordinated strike across the entire galaxy. Outside, Captain Choi was waiting with an escort of human marines. Ambassador, are you ready to go home? Lee looked back at the assembly hall where the most powerful beings in the galaxy were learning what it meant to lose a war they thought they had already won. Yes, Captain. Let's go home. We have a victory to celebrate. Admiral Park So-jin stood on the bridge of the massive warship Incheon Rising. Through the viewing windows, she could see Concordia Station in the distance, surrounded by human vessels that dwarfed the remaining council ships. The aliens had stopped trying to leave. They knew they were trapped. Admiral, her communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender requests from 12 different council worlds. The Kalari government is asking for immediate ceasefire terms. Park nodded but didn't smile. Victory felt good, but the work wasn't finished yet. What about the Vorthons? She asked. High Chancellor Krexthul is still refusing to communicate, but our intelligence reports show his fleets are in complete disarray. Most of his ships have returned to protect the Vorthon homeworld. Park walked to the tactical display. The holographic galaxy showed the current situation in bright colors. Green dots marked successful human operations. Red dots showed council forces in retreat. Yellow dots indicated worlds asking for peace negotiations. How long since the operation began? She asked. 4 hours, 17 minutes, her tactical officer replied. Total council military capability reduced by 73%. Supply line disruption at 96%. Communication network compromised at 88%. It was better than Park had hoped. 2 years of planning, 18 months of positioning ships, 6 months of final preparations. All of it had worked exactly as designed. Admiral, another officer called. Ambassador Lee is requesting permission to return to the fleet. Granted. Have his ship dock in Bay 7. 20 minutes later, Lee Tae-ho walked onto the bridge of Incheon Rising. He still wore his diplomat's uniform, but his expression was that of a soldier who had just won the most important battle of his life. How did they react when you said no? Park asked. Lee's smile was cold. Like children who had been told they couldn't have a toy they wanted. Confusion first, then anger, then fear when the reports started coming in. Kim Do-won followed Lee onto the bridge, carrying his ever-present tablet. Admiral, the intelligence operation was a complete success. We now have detailed information on every council world, every remaining military installation, and every government leader. And the stealth fleet? Park asked. All ships reporting successful mission completion, Kim replied. 0 losses on our side. Council forces were caught completely unprepared. Park nodded with satisfaction. The plan had always been risky. If the Council had discovered their stealth ships too early, or if their intelligence had been wrong about alien defensive capabilities, the entire operation could have failed. But her gamble had paid off. Admiral, her communications officer announced, incoming message from Concordia Station. High Chancellor Krexthul wants to speak with you directly. Put him through, Park said. The main screen flickered, showing the familiar blue-skinned alien, but Krexthul looked very different now. His proud posture was gone. His forearms hung limply at his sides. His eyes showed defeat and desperation. Admiral Park, he said, his voice much quieter than before. I request immediate ceasefire negotiations. High Chancellor, Park replied calmly. 3 hours ago you told my ambassador that you would burn all human worlds to ash. What changed your mind? Krexthul's eyes looked down. Your ships have destroyed our ability to continue this war. Our fleets are scattered. Our supplies are gone. Our communications are compromised. And, Park prompted, and we formally request terms for ending hostilities. Lee stepped forward. The same terms you offered us, High Chancellor. Complete surrender. Withdrawal from all territories you've occupied from other species. Reparations for war damages. Annual tribute to humanity. Impossible! Krexthul's old anger flared briefly. The Galactic Council cannot pay tribute to humans. Park's voice became hard as steel. High Chancellor, let me explain something. Your choice is not between tribute and freedom. Your choice is between tribute and extinction. She gestured to Kim, who activated the tactical display. The hologram showed the galaxy with human ships positioned near every major council world. Those ships you see can destroy planets, Park continued. We built them during the 2 years you thought we were losing this war. While you were celebrating victories against our decoy fleet, we were preparing to end this conflict permanently. Krexthul stared at the display. The number of human ships was impossible. Where had they all come from? You're lying, he said weakly. Humans don't have that kind of technology. Captain Choi Hyorian stepped forward. She had changed from her diplomat disguise into her real uniform, that of a battle fleet commander. High Chancellor, she said, would you like a demonstration? I can order one of our planet-killer ships to target an uninhabited moon near your homeworld. You can watch what human technology can really do. No, Krexthul said quickly. No demonstrations necessary. Park returned to her captain's chair. High Chancellor, I'm going to explain the new reality. The war is over. Humanity won. You can accept surrender terms with honor, or you can watch your civilization disappear. What are your terms? Krexthul asked. Lee pulled out a document pad. Complete withdrawal of all council forces from territories conquered in the last 50 years. You will return those worlds to their original inhabitants or to human administration. Second, full reparations for all damage caused during your war against humanity. This includes payment for destroyed colonies, lost ships, and casualties. Third, the Galactic Council will be dissolved. Each member species will sign individual peace treaties with humanity. Fourth, annual tribute payments will be made to Earth for a period of 20 years. These payments will be in resources, technology, and manufactured goods. Fifth, all council species will provide humanity with complete technological databases. No restrictions, no hidden information. And finally, Lee's voice became harder. Any species that violates these terms will face immediate military action from the human defense fleet. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of ship systems. Krexthul looked like he had aged years in the last few hours. And if we accept these terms? He asked. Then you survive, Park said simply. Your people live. Your worlds remain habitable. You rebuild your civilization under human oversight, instead of watching it burn. Another alien voice came through the communication system. It was the spider-like representative from the peace talks. Admiral Park, this is Counselor Thrak of the Nexus Combine. We formally accept all human terms and request immediate ceasefire. More voices followed. The tree creature species. The scaled reptilians. The gas-breathing methane worlds. One by one. 13 of the 14 council races accepted human terms. Only the Vorthans remained silent. Park looked directly at Krexthul. High Chancellor, your allies have made their choice. What is yours? For a long moment, Krexthul said nothing. Then his shoulders slumped in final defeat. The Vorthan Empire accepts your terms. Excellent, Park said. All human ships are ordered to cease offensive operations immediately. Ceasefire is now in effect. She stood up from her captain's chair. High Chancellor, you and the other council representatives will remain at Concordia Station until formal surrender documents are signed. Ambassador Lee will handle those negotiations. And then, Krexthul asked. Then you go home and explain to your people how the primitive humans defeated the mighty Galactic Council. The communication ended. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, but Park could feel their satisfaction. They had done the impossible, defeated an enemy that outnumbered them 1,000 to 1. Lee walked over to Park's chair. Admiral, there's something I need to ask. How did we really build so many ships without them noticing? Park smiled. The first real smile she had allowed herself since the operation began. We didn't build them all, Tejo. Some of them are real. Some of them are very convincing holograms projected by our stealth ships. The aliens can't tell the difference from a distance. Brilliant, Lee said, and they'll never know which ones are real. That's the idea. Fear of the unknown is often more powerful than the unknown itself. Kim Do-won looked up from his tablet. Admiral, I'm getting reports from across human space. Every colony, every outpost, every ship is celebrating. They're calling this the greatest military victory in human history. Park looked out at the stars. 3 years ago, humanity had been on the edge of extinction. The aliens had seemed unstoppable, but humans had done what they always did when faced with impossible odds. They found a way to win. Signal all ships, she ordered. Stand down from combat alert. Set course for home. The Incheon Rising began turning away from Concordia Station. Around it, the human fleet moved in perfect formation. Behind them, The aliens who had tried to conquer humanity watched in defeated silence. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "Earth Command is requesting a message for broadcast to all human worlds." Park thought for a moment. "What did you say when you had just saved your entire species?" "Tell them this," she said finally. "The war is over. Humanity endured. Humanity prevailed. We're coming home." As the human fleet jumped to hyperspace heading back to Earth, Admiral Park allowed herself one last look at the aliens they had defeated. The galaxy had learned an important lesson today. Humanity didn't just fight wars, they ended them. Lee Tai-ho stood in front of the large window in his office on New Busan Station. Outside, the stars looked peaceful, but he knew better. For 3 years, those same stars had been lighting up with the fire of war. Human ships fighting alien fleets, colonies burning, people dying. The communication device on his desk made a soft sound. A message was coming in. Lee walked over and pressed the button. The screen showed the symbol of the Galactic Council. His heart beat faster. "This is Ambassador Lee Tai-ho receiving," he said into the device. The screen changed. Now it showed a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. This was High Chancellor Krexthul of the Vorthan Empire. The alien's voice was deep and cold. "Human Ambassador," Krexthul said. "I speak for the Galactic Council. We have decided to be kind to your people. We offer you peace." Lee kept his face calm. Inside, he felt angry. Kind? After 3 years of trying to wipe out humanity? "The Council has prepared peace terms," Krexthul continued. "You will come to Concordia Station in the Vega system. There you will sign the agreement that will save your people from complete destruction." The alien's 4 eyes looked directly at Lee. "Do not keep us waiting, human. Our patience has limits." The screen went dark. Lee stood there for a moment. Then he pressed another button on his desk. "Get me Admiral Park Seo-jin," he said. A few minutes later, Park Seo-jin walked into his office. She was a small woman, but her eyes were sharp and hard. She had been fighting this war from the beginning. Her uniform showed the marks of many battles. "They made contact," Lee said. "The Council wants to meet." Park sat down in the chair across from his desk. "What are their terms?" Lee played back the message. They both listened to Krexthul's words. When it finished, Park was quiet for a long time. "They think they've won," she said finally. "Haven't they?" Lee asked. "Our outer colonies are gone. Earth is under constant attack. Our fleets are half destroyed," Park smiled. It was not a nice smile. "That's what they think. That's what we want them to think." She stood up and walked to the window. "How long have we been preparing for this moment, Tai-ho?" Lee thought about it. 2 years. Since the Battle of Titan. That's right. 2 years of letting them think we're weak. 2 years of falling back and hiding our real strength. 2 years of making them proud and careless. Park turned around to face him. "They want to meet at Concordia Station." "Perfect. That's exactly where we want them." "What about the terms they'll offer?" Lee asked. "Oh, they'll be terrible," Park said. "Complete surrender. Give up all our technology. Let them rule over us like pets. They'll think they're being generous by letting us live." Lee felt sick thinking about it. "And we'll have to sit there and listen to it all?" "Yes, we will. And we'll look defeated and scared. We'll make them feel very good about themselves." Park walked back to his desk. "But while we're doing that, the real war will begin." She pressed a button on her wrist device. The air above Lee's desk filled with a hologram. It showed the galaxy with hundreds of red dots scattered across it. "Every red dot is a target," Park said. "Council military bases, supply stations, command centers. For 2 years, our stealth ships have been moving into position. The aliens don't even know they're there." Lee stared at the hologram. There were so many red dots. "How many ships?" "More than the Council thinks we have left," Park said. "Much more." The door to Lee's office opened. 2 more people walked in. One was Kim Do-won, a thin man with glasses who worked in intelligence. The other was Captain Choi Hyrin, a young woman who commanded one of their fastest ships. "You called for us, Admiral?" Captain Choi asked. "The Council wants to meet," Park said. "You'll take the diplomatic team to Concordia Station." "How many ships in the escort?" Captain Choi asked. "Just 3. Old ships that look damaged. We want them to think we can barely fly." Kim Do-won pushed his glasses up his nose. "I've been studying the Council races for 3 years. They all think humans are weak and stupid. They believe their own lies about being superior to us." "Good," Park said. "That will make this easier." Lee looked at all of them. "What if something goes wrong? What if they attack us at the peace talks? Park's smile got wider. Then they'll learn what humans do when someone threatens us during a peace meeting. She pointed at the hologram again. Every one of those red dots will disappear in the same hour. Every council world will wake up to find their defenses gone. Their supply lines cut, their fleets scattered. But why wait? Lee asked. Why not attack now? Because we need them all in one place, Kim Do-won said. All their leaders, all their admirals, all their pride gathered together at Concordia Station. While they're celebrating their victory over humanity, Park said. Humanity will be winning the real war. Captain Choi stepped forward. When do we leave? Tomorrow, Park said. Take the soul's pride. Make sure it looks like it's been through hell. It has been through hell, Captain Choi said with a smile. Park turned back to Lee. Remember, Tae-ho, when you sit at that table, you're not just an ambassador. You're the bait that will bring them all together. And then, Lee asked, then we spring the trap that will end this war forever. The hologram disappeared. The four humans stood in the dark office looking out at the stars. Tomorrow they would begin the final act of a plan 2 years in the making. Lee thought about all the people who had died in this war, all the colonies that had been destroyed, all the families torn apart. The aliens thought they had beaten humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. One more thing, Park said as the others were leaving. When Krexthul offers you the surrender terms, I want you to read every single word. Let him see you considering it. Let him think you might actually sign. And then? Lee asked. Park's eyes were cold as space. Then you tell him no. And we show the galaxy what happens when someone tries to make humans kneel. The door closed. Lee was alone again with the stars. Tomorrow everything would change. The war was about to end. But not the way the aliens expected.